Welcome to Radio Bravery Live. We are in the middle of a quickening. We've got plenty of breaking news right now as I speak, and I've got to make this report as short as I possibly can, so I'm just going to jump in the news here. We don't have a lot of time. I've got to get to my day job, even though this is basically the most important job I've got today, as I'm covering news, researching all day long, every day, just trying to break news here for you, because knowledge is power. YouTube.com/RadioBravery is the website. You're watching Radio Bravery Live, and I'm your host, Justin Belshaw. We've got breaking news right now. It's been on the Alex Jones show today from the anonymous source, Zack, who is an ex-military operative, possibly still currently active in special operations. He is reporting live from, I believe, Florida, on the Alex Jones show. We're going to go to that clip right now so we can catch some breaking news. But right before we do that, I've got one headline here that is the one we're going to cover in the clip. This is out of Newsweek.com. SpaceX, will Falcon 9 Zuma and its secret government payload ever take off? That's out of Newsweek.com. Let's go ahead and jump to this breaking news from the anonymous source who's been calling into InfoWars Live. And let's go to that video right now. We've got incredible breaking news from the anonymous source, Z Anon Zack.
There's a lot of good people in our government, and there's an internal civil war going on for the heart and soul of the country, and it's spilt out in the open now, okay? So, Zach, we appreciate your courage. We appreciate you joining us. Last time you were on, you were in Morocco. Are you still in Morocco?
As of yes, sir. First and foremost, Alex, it's a pleasure to be back on with you. I had to come on and connect some dots. As of yesterday, I'm blown out of Casablanca. I'm actively right now east of Orlando, en route to Cape Canaveral to bring up my first point, which is part of 4 that are critical information that we will discuss here. This is breaking
right now on InfoWars Live.
Okay, well, go ahead. Your phone's breaking up a little bit, but go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me loud and clear now?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Okay, first and most importantly, I had to get in touch with Nico about the North Korea information, because what's going on in Cape Canaveral this weekend, and I hope your researchers can kind of, in real time, pick this stuff up with me, because it's out there right now. This is Area 59. SpaceX is having a launch this weekend. Whether it was supposed to happen yesterday, but because of whether it's going to happen this weekend, it's the SpaceX Falcon 9 with the secret payload Zuma. And that's going to go into orbit, and that is done by SpaceX, but the payload is in conjunction with the U.S. Air Force. That's the DoD fulfilled contract.
Now, you're not saying anything secret yet, but I want you to be careful here, okay?
No. This is public. It's just people aren't connecting the dots or getting the breadcrumbs yet. I mean, you could Google that and find that.
But obviously, North Korea knows, and notice they're suddenly calling for the first time in decades, and having marches now calling for peace. Isn't that funny?
Well, I got 4 major points here, and I gotta get to them all because they're all interconnected.
Go through it.
The SpaceX launch, the Falcon 9 with the Zuma, that's Zuma payload. That's U.S. Air Force. That's going to be done at what they're calling Area 59. That's not conspiratorial. That's official. That's outside of Cape Canaveral there, and that's Elon Musk fulfilling a DoD contract, which he's done plenty of all of a sudden, which ties into the Spectrum bug. You were alluding to it a couple minutes ago as I was listening. That is the backdoors into the microprocessors of everything. Okay, here's the deal. The Silicon Valley sultans have fell in line because they saw what happened to Schmidt, and they're not untouchable. Elon Musk has picked his side. He's in with DoD, but we have collected a lot of information. I shouldn't say we have collected a lot of information. There's a lot of information being collected, PDFs, it's been mirrored, it's been copied. Class action lawsuits have been filed because of this Spectrum bug in California, Oregon, and most importantly, in weirdly, Indiana. Why Indiana? Well, I can tell you why Indiana. There's some troubling emails between Mike Pence, Stephen Bannon, and we could get into Miles Kwok and how that all works out. Then I got a couple more points here. I'm sorry if I'm jumping, but this stuff's pretty critical.
No, absolutely. Right, continue.
Okay, so the Spectrum bug could be read as spying on everyday Americans. And make no mistake, whether you're a public official at the highest levels of power, if you're a congressman, a senator, if you happen to be a secretary of state, if you happen to be whatever you are, make no mistake, you use those same devices. So if you think you could bleach them, if you think you could have a house fire and play victim and get rid of them, you are highly mistaken, because the Silicon Valley Sultans put the spectrum bug out there. It's classified. Nobody's going to know who dropped it, but the information's out there. And now we have the information. Now we have the PDFs, which will be released. Assange will be released. Bannon made a big
Assange
mistake.
is about to release a PDF.
Here's the problem with Bannon. Bannon tried to align with Miles Kwok. People probably don't know who he is, but the Chinese billionaire who should be in China. He is
a billionaire out of China who's been working with Bannon behind the scenes.
This Zuma payload that's going to be fulfilled by SpaceX, which launches those frigates in the orbit, is going to do something for DoD that I can't get into, that will make the North Korea act plausible and not as catastrophic as people are worried about. Also, it's going to give us the green light with China. We're going to give them Miles Kwok, and we are going to get the green light to take out North Korea, as me and you talked about many months ago. Bannon, in some weird, I don't know what happened. I think I do know what happened, because I've seen some emails and some PDFs. They were attempting to pull off the 25th against 45. Obviously, that didn't happen, and they thought they were dealing with an idiot. This is serious. This is happening right now. This is happening right now.
Well, I know Roger Stone is much more than he seems, obviously, and he's been down at Mar-a-Lago, and leave it at that. And he, 8 months ago, I was like, shut up about Kwok. And then the Chinese president came, and they said, give us Kwok, and then we'll back you on the North Korea. And Stone knew that back before it was even on the news. And he just has been obsessed with it. And then obviously he brings it up every time he talks to the president. And the president's so busy, he's like literally like, what, that guy hadn't been yet? I mean, it's just, it's crazy.
Well, the issue was they were double dealing Bannon, Tillerson. Tillerson's the next. What they don't understand is...
Well, that's what, okay, I'll just say it. Stone told me that Bannon was going to be out 6 months ago because of intelligence operations getting caught up by the Chinese, and then it was basically forbade from talking about it, but now it's basically out. And I was like, absolutely, I don't want to come out and say Bannon's in bed with the Chinese. Are you kidding? But that's the word, and I just, it's kind of crazy to me. And now look at this.
Working behind the scenes with the Chinese,
so
Miles
you
Kwok.
have Trump coming out, and I can't give you certain things that are going out, but yeah, there are operations protecting the...
Yeah, just because that Kwok guy is running around shooting his mouth about China, that's the biggest Trojan horse I've ever seen. You can take one look at that guy. Sorry.
What could be said about Steve Bannon that hasn't already been said about Karl Rove, and what could be said about Karl Rove that hasn't already been said about Bandar Bush? Yuck. The Silicon Valley Sultans had to fall in line, and Elon Musk did, because they saw what happened to the actual sultans in Saudi Arabia. And as we spoke about months ago, the viewers could pick it up. I told everybody, first year salvage, second year savage. And what we're seeing right now is nothing short of remarkable. I'm just telling you right now, Kwok will be extradited, and Assange will be in the United States within about a week.
Within 1 week,
Assange
will be back in the U.S.
Here's the last thing. So I left Casablanca yesterday in Morocco. I had to go there for certain things, but Elon Musk is a patriot. Assange is a patriot. Elon Musk has a lot of interest in the Sahara and making huge solar farms as he does in Australia. And I can tell you right now that Musk is a fan of yours. I can tell you
Elon Musk is a listener of Infowars.com, Infowars Live. Incredible. Breaking news.
No, I'll just say it now. It wasn't off the record, but I just...
This is incredible breaking news from Z Anon Zack, the anonymous special operations source out of Florida and formerly out of Morocco, where he has fled for safety. And now we're going back to some more breaking info from Z Anon Zack.
This is not live action role playing. This isn't fantasy land. This is the real world. I think it's important that people understand that people seek human liberty. Well, there's a new criminal investigation of Hillary. It's all happening. And Eric Schmidt had to look in privately that they better stop or they're going to break up Google, Facebook, and Twitter. Truly anonymous.
Just in a matter of time, I've been skipping ahead. Let's go back to Z Anon Zack right now, breaking more information.
Yeah, so it's Spectre bug, like I said, we call them Silicon Valley Sultans. They figured it out. You know, Musk kind of leaped the way there, but we're not messing around here. And so let me just get into this one because I missed this point. I should have probably started with this. Huma Abedin, I don't know if you remember our call a couple of weeks ago, but we made the HRC Huma Obama connection there. Make no mistake, Huma's going to be indicted. Huma's going to be prosecuted. Sessions is doing some.
That's breaking.
Sessions is compromised. Sessions is a very compromised
Huma is going to be indicted.
And when the Spectrum bug comes out, the PDFs come out. It's not going to come from an individual person, but they'll just be published, and then you're also be able to report them. So that is what it is. But with that being said, he understands the writings on the wall there, and they got 19 new prosecutors looking into all the indictments and Huma's done. But the problem is
19 new prosecutors,
Awan brother connection, and with the Awan brother connection, the damning emails, the Spectre bug.
Sure, I don't want to interrupt you, but what about this fire in their bedroom? Like basically a firebombing in. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, so that's double barbed, and people will know what that means. They're not untouchable, and a lot of people aren't happy with them, so something happened there. Of course, I know nothing about that, but something did happen there, and it was an attempt to burn or get rid or destroy certain evidence, hardware, even hard files that they had, and play some sort of weird game. But make no mistake, they had internal security that was like very tight there, but they were attacked. And they were just letting them know on Seth's birthday, on Seth Rich's birthday, that make no mistake, we're coming at you, and you're coming at you hard. And when it comes to Obama,
that's breaking news.
But when it comes
that fire was related to Seth Rich's birthday. Incredible. Wow.
Huma will be the end of HRC. That was a big problem for her.
This guy knows a lot.
Done. But the Obama Foundation, this guy is all around the world doing this and this and that. You know, the Obama Foundation's got a real problem. Barack Obama's got a real problem on his hand. He promised to close Gitmo. It's kind of fitting and kind of poetic that he didn't close Gitmo. That's one of his promises that he didn't do, and funny enough, depending on how you look at it, some of his closest allies end up being there, hated or not.
Amazing. Other big points you'd like to make, or just talking to your colleagues, just the general sense of where this battle to restore the republic is right now.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the second year we're getting into 2018 with Trump. Trump puts out the tweet, and Trump, you know, they criticize him for Twitter, and they criticize him for having some, I guess you could.
This has been incredible, quickening, breaking news from Z Anon, Zack, the anonymous special operations source who's been calling into InfoWars Live for a couple of years now. This guy is always breaking incredible news. Incredible. He just broke that the fire at the Clintons' house there in Chautauqua was related to Seth Rich's birthday, and it was an attack on the Clintons. Wow, that is incredible breaking news. We've got that headline that I pulled up there from Newsweek.com. Will Falcon 9 Zuma and government payload ever take off? This Elon Musk SpaceX Falcon 9 Zuma secret government payload. Apparently it is classified what it's on there, but he says it's going to affect the issue between the U.S. and North Korea, and that they will be green lighted for an attack on North Korea. This is incredible breaking news as we are living in the quickening right now. I cannot believe my ears. This is just crazy. This guy has been on target, everything that he predicts. He knows what is going on from the inside out, and he is breaking it to you, the people, because knowledge is power. Do your own research. Look up all that information for yourself, as I will be doing more research later today as well. That is just incredible breaking news. Wow, I cannot believe it. He says Rex Tillerson is going to be out. Bannon has been working behind the scenes with China, with this guy, Miles Kyuk. And this guy is a backstabber of China and the U.S., and he says he's going to be extradited out of the U.S. in the next week, and Julian Assange is going to be brought back into the U.S. and allowed, and the charges are going to be dropped against Julian Assange. And then he predicted Julian Assange is going to be dropping some new PDFs soon as well from Silicon Valley scum who's been trying to keep a bunch of blackmail on senators and people all around the country. He named Oregon, Indiana, and a couple other states as states that will be involved in that. So we will continue to cover that here on Radio Bravery Live, youtube.com/RadioBravery as it breaks. That's just incredible. The quickening that we're living in right now, you never know. I got to go live any second, anytime that this news is breaking so that I can bring you the knowledge and empower the people, because the only way to be empowered, the first step is knowing is half the battle, as G.I. Joe says. So that's incredible. Do your own research. Think for yourself. Don't trust me. Trust your gut. And that is just, that is incredible breaking news right there. Now I'm going to jump to the breaking news about the author Michael Wolff. The author of the explosive new Trump book says he can't be sure if parts of it are true. This is from BusinessInsider.com. Fire and fury inside the Trump White House has set the political world ablaze. It contains vivid, detailed, and embarrassing accounts of President Donald Trump and those around him. But the book's author, Michael Wolff, says he can't be sure if it's all true. Really, that's because he has been known to stretch the truth numerous times about Silicon Valley giants, Rupert Murdoch, numerous other people that he's written about, and now it's coming out. He admits he can't even be sure if it's true. He is a wolf in journalist clothing. That's the headline from newsbusters.org. Wolf in journalist clothing. I said whatever was necessary to get the story. That's a quote from Michael Wolff, the wolf in journalist clothing. I said whatever was necessary to get the story. But as you just heard from Z Anon, Zack, the special operations anonymous source, that Bannon has been working behind the scenes with China. So it is not surprising that some of those statements from Bannon could be true. But it is definitely not true that Trump did not believe he was going to win. He was doing 8, 9, 10 pit stops a day at different cities and doing speeches, 9, 10 speeches a day, all the time on the campaign trail all week long, because he knew he was going to win, because he was trying to win and he wanted to win, just as it came out as a lie when they said that Melania Trump didn't want him to run and tried to get him not to run. She was one of the reasons why he did run, and she pushed him to do it, and that's one of the reasons why he did do it, because he did want her support, which he got, and he believed he was going to win. Then we have this one out of the Washington Compost, WashingtonPost.com. Michael Wolff's unbelievable, sometimes literally tell all about the Trump administration. Again, admitting that Michael Wolff has been a yellow journalist for years, stretcher of the truth, a fiction writer, a tall tale fabulist, and he is now coming out as such. Several news outlets published excerpts from Michael Wolff's new book about the Trump campaign and the White House, and almost every word of it is unbelievable. Some of it literally so. That's out of the WashingtonPost.com. Even they are admitting that it is completely fabricated. So that is just incredible. Then we have this one from Newsweek.com. Michael Wolff is a crackpot fake news writer, Trump's deputy press secretary claims. Goes on to say, Deputy White House Press Secretary Hogan Gidley appeared on Outnumbered Overtime with Harris Faulkner Thursday afternoon to call Michael Wolff a crackpot fake news fiction writer. Gidley was asked about the White House's response to Wolff's new book, Fire and Fury. When he made the remark about its author, he went on to allege that some of those quoted have accused Wolff of fabrications. Quote, you don't have to look too far. The people quoted in the book, many of them have already come out on the record and saying, you lied, I never said those things, Gidley claimed on Fox News show. So it's pretty obvious that the book is filled with falsehoods and outright lies. So that is from the Deputy White House Press Secretary Hogan Gidley on Fox News, and that article is out of Newsweek.com. Next up, let's go to this other article from the Washington Post. that I pulled up earlier during that interview with Z Anon, Zack. The people Jeff Sessions' marijuana directive could end up hurting the most, as I covered in 2 different special reports live from my phone. I've called for the resignation of Jeff Sessions if he continues to follow through with this outright garbage against the American people, this unconstitutional war on drugs. Attorney General Jeff Sessions' move to enforce federal marijuana laws may be the latest chapter in the arguably failed war on drugs, his critics say, and this time his actions may be directed at the marijuana industry, people of color, and will be disproportionately harmed, some fear. So that is out of the WashingtonPost.com. Then we have this one from CNN. 2 conservative lawmakers call for Sessions to step down, and I, Justin Belshaw from Radio Bravery Live, have joined these 2 members, and one of them is one of my favorite people in Congress, Jim Jordan, the incredible fighter for American liberty. 2 leading members of the conservative House Freedom Caucus called for Attorney General Jeff Sessions to resign in an op-ed published Thursday morning, writing that it's time for Jeff Sessions to go. Mark Meadows, Freedom Caucus Chair, and Jim Jordan, a member who sits on the Oversight and Judiciary Committees in the U.S. House of Representatives, wrote the op-ed for the Washington Examiner and criticized Sessions' handling of the department's investigations into Russian meddling in the 2016 election. Says, quote, Attorney General Jeff Sessions has recused himself from the Russia investigation, but it would appear that he has no control at all over the premier law enforcement agency in the world. They wrote, it is time for Sessions to start managing the spirit of transparency to bring all this improper behavior to light and stop further violations. So now Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows and Jim Jordan have called for the resignation of Jeff Sessions, and I am standing with them. He has got to go. We need a new Attorney General who will follow through with the will of the people and stop locking up nonviolent offenders. Then we have this one from Bloomberg.com. GOP senators asked Justice Department for criminal probe of Trump dossier author. We now have a House Committee Intelligence investigation on the outright lies and election meddling by the FISA courts, by the FBI, by Christopher Steele, and by Fusion GPS. Then we have this one from TheHill.com. Over the same subject, GOP senators request criminal investigation of Trump dossier author. So that's been breaking today. Incredible news. We finally are getting what we want, what the people have asked for. We have this headline out of the Anniston Star. Star's chairman, former publisher, resigns after grabbing women's behinds. Absolutely ridiculous, out of control, these scumbags. Just thinking they can touch and grab and grope and assault women left and right, and it's not going to go on anymore. Federal government cut 16,000 jobs in 2017 thanks to Donald Trump's administration following through on campaign promises. That's from CNSnews.com. Federal government cut 16,000 jobs in 2017. And then we have this headline that I still haven't covered yet. The Dow has finally hit 25,000 for the first time in the history of the Dow in 120 years. The highest the Dow's ever been. The Dow's long road to 25,000. This is actually from money.cnn.com, CNN Money. Dow 25,000 is a milestone more than 120 years in the making. The average began tracking the most powerful corporate stocks in 1896 and has served as a broad measure of the market's health through 22 presidents, 22 recessions, a Great Depression, and at least 2 crashes and innumerable rallies, corrections, bull and bear markets. The blue chip reading finally cracked at 25,000, the benchmark, for the first time in history Thursday. 120 years in the making, the Dow has hit 25,000 for the first time in history, and most economists are now saying this might be the first move to the economy coming back in America, as thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs are coming back every single day. We had 196,000 new manufacturing jobs last month, 250,000 new jobs created in December alone, and that was way above the 196 I believe, predicted. So 250,000 new jobs, 196,000 of them manufacturing jobs, and the Dow has now broken a 120-year milestone with 25,000. Incredible as we continue to break records. Oh, also don't forget that 2017 had the most records broken for the Dow and NASDAQ in the history of the Dow and NASDAQ. Most broken records, I believe it was 55 records or something like that in 1 year. Absolutely incredible as our country is coming back to the hands of the people. The money is coming back to our pockets. The power is coming back to us. We had to take the power back, and that's why we voted for Donald Trump. The proof is in the pudding. Don't ask me what he's done. Look at the writing on the wall, folks. Now, the last thing I'm going to cover here on this edition of Radio Bravery Live is a video from Paul Joseph Watson. You can find him on his channel there, at Paul Joseph Watson on YouTube. The video is entitled, "This is what a real feminist looks like," and this is what a real feminist looks like. Not Linda Sarsour, the CIA agent scumbag divider in chief who wants to lie to women and manipulate them and cover up their faces and degenital them and take away their genitals, which she tried to do to a feminist. She said she should have her genitals removed because of something she said. Absolutely insane, absolutely disgusting and anti-human. But this is what a real feminist looks like. This video is from Paul Joseph Watson. You can find him on YouTube or Infowars.com. You can find this article as well. Here is that video. Let's go to it right now, as it's the last thing we're going to cover on this edition of Radio Bravery Live. Please subscribe today, youtube.com/Radio Bravery. We've got now 27 subscribers. We're going up every day. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much, and I'll be breaking more live news probably later tonight, or at the very least we'll have a show tomorrow. Here's that video from Paul Joseph Watson.
Of Islamic theocracy by removing their hijabs in public. And where's the pussy hat crowd? Where are the Western feminists? Oh, that's right, they just spent the last year fetishizing and normalizing the hijab. They spent the last year applauding global corporations for adorning athletes and Barbie dolls with it. They embraced the hijab to such a degree, they literally made it the symbol of their resistance movement. How can you claim to represent women's rights when you're genuflecting to a symbol of oppression for women across an entire continent? The first thing women in Syria do when they're liberated from ISIS control is to remove their hijabs with glee. The very first Arab feminist groups 100 years ago discarded their hijabs in protest. Now Iranian women in 2018 are doing the same thing, being beaten for it in the streets. And how does the left respond? With complete silence or even tacit support for the Islamic regime. How many times has the official Pussy Hat Women's March even tweeted about Iran? Oh look, it's zero! Another case in point, the relentless cancer that is BuzzFeed.
People are using an old image of a woman without a headscarf to illustrate the Iran protests.
Old? Really? So how old is it, BuzzFeed? 6 months? 2 years? 5 years? Oh, it's literally from last week, as you admit in your own article. It's from December 27th, just a week before you published the article. So you accuse me of misleading people when you're the ones misleading people by claiming an image is old when it isn't even old. You're the ones literally spreading fake news to side with an oppressive Islamic theocracy against women's rights. Oh no, people are using a 4-day-old image of a woman spurning the forced modesty culture of a misogynistic death cult that we peddle to our virtue-signaling white guilt-ridden readership as empowering, and it's totally fucking up our victim narrative. BuzzFeed claims that images of women removing their hijabs to protest against government laws which force them to wear hijabs have nothing to do with the anti-government protests. In fact, it's got so little to do with the anti-government protests that it literally became an iconic symbol of the anti-government protests. Who wrote this BuzzFeed piece? Rose Troop Buchanan? Yeah, let's check that white privilege, Rose, and listen to what actual Iranians have to say about this. I'm from Iran, and every day many women are arrested because they didn't cover their hair properly. If a woman doesn't wear a scarf at all, she will be lashed. The people of Iran have made this image a symbol of their resistance, but to many leftists, everything is about American politics and their opposition to the right. The world is bigger than the US, BuzzFeed. You have taken the side of the theocrats against the oppressed. Yeah, a little more listening to people who are actually from the country, BuzzFeed. And a little less white-splaining, please. A little less throwing actual feminists under the bus with your fake news. And didn't you just know Miss Sharia law is reasonable Linda Sarsour would have to insert herself into this? Why does the right wing suddenly care about women in the Middle East? They didn't care about the Rohingya Muslims. Yeah, except they did. And Sarsour herself only tweeted about it when it became a global news story. Hey Linda, I was calling for women to liberate themselves of their burqas 4 years ago. And what were you doing? Joking about how FGM victims like Ayaan Hirsi Ali should have their vaginas removed. And you've got the nerve to call yourself a women's rights advocate? Bullshit.
She's a fake feminist. Ms. Sarsour is not interested in universal human rights.
Absolutely.
She's a defender of Sharia law.
Noticeable that male far-right bloggers, commentators in the US and Europe are going viral by deciding who is and who isn't a true feminist in relation to the West's response to Iran's protests.
Yeah, noticeable how many far-left bloggers, commentators in the US and Europe are fetishizing the hijab, a symbol of patriarchal oppression, while actual victims of patriarchal oppression in Iran liberate themselves of it. Hey lefties, feminism isn't about virtue signalling on Twitter about how much you respect women while you sexually abuse them behind the scenes. It's about literally risking incarceration and torture to stand up for actual women's rights. Drink it in, because this is what a real feminist looks like. This is what a real feminist movement looks like. It's not about your corporate feminist hijabi-friendly Islamophilia. It's about risking it all to be a beacon of true freedom and true liberation for women around the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. That was Paul Joseph Watson. And look at those beautiful women, those beautiful faces. I want to see them. I want to see them free. I want to see every beautiful woman out there able to be free without their faces covered up. They're beautiful. They're beautiful. Get out in the world and love yourself. Love everyone. All lives matter. Hijabs down on the ground. Step on them. Put them in some dog shit called ISIS. And let's be free. Together. Let's stop being divided and conquered and come together as a one human race. We don't need to fight. Let's all be feminists. Let's all be masculinists. Let's all be humanists, and let's all love each other because all lives matter. We all love each other. I love you all. That's why I'm here today. Radio Bravery Live. I love you. I love you, everyone. I love you. I love you. Thank you so much for joining me on this live edition. YouTube.com/Radio Bravery. I'll be back either later tonight or tomorrow with breaking news. Stay tuned. Subscribe today. YouTube.com/Radio Bravery. Thank you so much. Knowledge is power. Don't trust me. Trust your gut. And don't forget, do your own research. I love you. Thank you so much. Subscribe today. YouTube.com/Radio Bravery. This is Radio Bravery Live. I'm Justin Belshaw. Thank you.